Hello and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities. This is the kickoff of Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation Room to Grow podcast series and collaboration.
I love it. It sounds so fun.
Official. It is. It's official.
I love it.
I am Kimberly Scott, also known as That Kimberly, and my guest here today is Miss Nicolle Block. Hi, Nicole.
Hello. How are we?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here, especially on the beginning of this journey and this partnership.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of it, and I'm happy that you gave us your time today.
Absolutely.
Happy
too.
Okay, so let's get this kicked off with you telling folks a little bit about yourself.
My name is Nicolle Block. I have been in this industry for 25 years this year. Started when I was very young. But, like several of us, I fell into this industry. It was something that I was lucky enough to come upon. I was in a position in college where I was kind of wondering what I wanted to do and needed something to help me with my housing, and started in student housing and started as a leasing consultant, again, 25 years ago.
Did you live on site when you did that?
I did.
Sometimes they have perks like that, not always, but
yeah, sometimes they do. And I think that whenever you're looking at it and you're looking for the discount on your rent, and you have to work in the office a couple days a week, and it evens out, and you get to go to school, work on your schedule.
Absolutely.
But it was interesting, though. I really enjoyed the selling and the connection and I guess the career it could be.
Yeah.
That it definitely changed the path of my career for sure.
So when did you know that you were going to make a career for this? I
would probably say within 6 to 12 months. Definitely within my first year. I was 22 years old, so I don't know, if I thought this could be a career forever.
Uh-huh.
But I definitely knew it was something I wanted to pursue, and I felt like it was something I was passionate about. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped away from the student housing, directly related to the college I was attending, and then looked at it in what we call conventional now.
Yeah.
Something more conventional. And my girlfriend and I did it at the same time. And I think about it now with how everything is so researched online. You're Yelping and you're Glassdooring, and you're looking at
all the ratings.
Absolutely, and LinkedIn, and you're looking at all of those things when you investigate a company. My girlfriend and I literally just split two sides of the street and walked up and down the street and thought, this looks like a nice apartment community, and this looks like a nice apartment community.
And that's how you went for your application?
And and I carried my resume, of course, that you would have when you're starving college student, with one job on there. And she got a job at First Worthing across the street from me, and I got a job at Archstone across the street from her. And that's how it all began. And then my career, I stayed there at Archstone for 15 years until the company sold. But it was just kind of interesting how I fell into it. Definitely a different path and a whole different industry now.
Yeah. Is your girlfriend still in the industry?
She's not, but she stayed in it for probably about 8 or 10 years before she got married and decided to stay at home with her kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talk about that a lot, to where we just by chance.
Yeah.
I stayed with my company for 15 years, and she ended up maybe moving back and forth. I think she changed like 2 or 3 times. But I just think about that now. I couldn't imagine my sons.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street.
Yeah,
with their resume.
They'd be walking down the street with their phone, sending their resume.
And hopefully someone's going to chat with them immediately, and they can just walk in. But I think about that too. That we're, and now we're so much more, universal, and we can, we're so much more transparent, so people can find out more about us.
And they can apply online, and they can do their research, and they can ask their questions.
And I laugh about that all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I literally was walking down the street, walking down Eldon Dotson Road, or Drive, in Bedford, Texas.
Oh.
Yep, kind of interesting.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. In Bedford, Texas.
In Bedford, Texas.
Which we are kind of close to today, but
we are kind of close.
Yes, we are. So always staying close to the origination of where you started.
Yeah, I know. Very interesting. But I think that was a step, and I did it again for several years after that. And then I would probably say once I had promotion opportunities, and I understood that I could be, a community manager, a regional manager, or a VP one day. I think that was really eye-opening. And I think that I was able to put in the work and show that I was dedicated. And I think it's an industry that you can grow in, if you really have that passion and that determination.
How long after you started in the industry, did you realize that there was promotional opportunities, like fairly quickly? Like it took you a couple of things you had to get, like positions you had to learn and go through?
So I think once I got, so again, when I started with the student housing piece of it, went to the conventional side.
Which are two totally different animals.
Two totally different animals, and two focuses that were totally different for me.
Yeah.
You know, I literally was just trying to get a discount on my rent. When I was in college, I was just like, I just need
get through college.
Help me. I'm living on ramen noodles.
Yeah.
But then when I went to the conventional side, probably within less than a year, I was able to see that there was a lot of movement and growth with my company.
Yeah.
And that they also cared about my growth and development, which I definitely felt reciprocated. So I felt like, okay, they're giving to me, I'm going to give everything I've got to them.
Yeah.
And it was a great relationship for 15 years. But yeah, it was probably within the first year I realized that I'm like, I'm kind of digging this.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And there's opportunities all over the place within, especially that large of an organization, that you can, move up, move sideways, move up again, you across the United States.
Well, and that's one of the best things I think, we're talking about, the Room to Grow campaign, and we're talking about, our education foundation and trying to reach people that don't necessarily have multifamily already in their background, is that you can grow in every direction. So when we say room to grow, like you literally have exponential room. You grow sideways, you grow up, you grow left, right, up, down. And so, for instance, in my path, once I was a community manager and then became a regional manager, there was, kind of a, maybe like a plateau, if you will, on, the trajectory. It's not, I was thinking it was always up. But I also then dug into auditing and acquisitions and dispositions and training and just all of those things, risk management, departments. And so being able to be involved and understanding how they rolled up into, my business and my company, the maintenance side of the house. I'm super passionate about that, learning about that. And I think that's what makes our leadership, it's our opportunities really endless. Endless, because you have so many avenues you can go down.
Yeah. You just have to ask.
Oh,
and put yourself out there. Put yourself 100%. Out there. Yeah.
I think some of the misconceptions with growth and development is that you're always waiting for someone to recognize it in you. And although that happens sometimes, not saying it doesn't, if you're wanting something different and you're wanting to make a change, then I think the onus is also on you. Yeah. To raise your hand, like you just said, and say, I really would love to learn more about X. Yeah. Just even in our relationship, it's like, I would love to learn more what you're doing about podcasting. Yeah. And before you know it, I'm sitting here podcasting with you, we're having a conversation. But you want to share your passion. Yeah. Right? So if I sit down and say, hey, can you talk to me more about what you do with capital projects? Yeah. And how you build a scope and how you
explain the budgets and why you guys do what you do in certain times of the month or the year and all those things, the budget cycle and when should I approach you, when should I not, like all those different things. There's so many.
And for me it was, it was truly just my knowledge to grow. But what I didn't realize, and now looking back, I wish I could say I was more intentional, but this happened, and I think it's a wonderful consequence, is I feel like it's made me more relatable as a leader. Is that I'm able to speak lots of different languages. Yeah. And I'm able to relate to the struggles, the challenges, on all the highs, levels. The lows, at multiple levels. Yeah. That if I just stayed in operations only, that I wouldn't have that lens to kind of view the world. And so I feel like that's a wonderful unintended consequence and something that I'm now definitely more intentional about. So now I'm more intentional about where I'm gaining my knowledge.
And in your case, I feel, because I know a little bit of the history, not back in the Archstone days, but I can say that like your soft skills are very spot on. Like you've done a great job. Even your interaction within the associations, are from experience, from stepping up. Like talk a little bit about how you got involved in the association and how you were brought to the table, as you said.
So I think how I got involved was I had a mentor that was involved and it definitely saw the potential in my relationship with the association. So I think that was part of my introduction. But I'll never forget, and I say this all the time, is that she told me, she said, I'll bring you to the party, but someone has to, ask you to dance, or you got to go out and ask someone else to dance, right? Yeah. And that was really impactful for me because, yes, she opened the door, but I had to walk through it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's kind of what we were talking about, that growth and development is just as much on me. Yeah. To raise my hand and say, hey.
It's a two-way street,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
But here's what I would also say is I think that we're seeing more of a focus on emotional intelligence. I know you and I have talked a lot about that soft skills that we talk about. I think the association gives you an opportunity
to grow both.
Because you're not in a traditional collaboration. You know, you're working with people that are technically your competitors in some cases. They're your partners in other cases. And no one works, in air quotes, for each other. We all work with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a different skill set to be able to gain buy-in and gain consensus and help people understand how they fit into something that they're not required to do.
Yeah.
It's volunteerism at its finest. And I think it's wonderful. And again, I want to give to the industry that gave me my livelihood.
Yeah.
But you really have to focus on those soft skills, because if you don't, they're not required. You know, again, it's not their job, if you will.
Yeah, the true art of collaboration. You get into it and meeting a wide variety of people from all over, whether it's your, you know, like for us in Texas, all over the state of Texas, to, you know, on a national level, all over across the United States, because every association is different. Absolutely. But every city, I always like to tell people, your city has a local association. You know, whether you know it or not, it's out there.
Right.
Google it. Google is your mother.
Find it.
Google is your mother, people. That is a quote from Gary Vee. Google is your mother.
Google is your mother.
Yeah. So learning more about the industry you're in or the city you're in with the associations, definitely you can find it online, and so that you can go and figure out what you want to volunteer for.
And it's baby steps. So I think that, you know, if you're living in a city, who's a better expert than you?
Yeah.
You know, so we're not asking you to speak on something or represent something you're not familiar with.
Correct.
And I think that gives you a very strong foundation for then expanding it to the state level and potentially the nation. So I think that that's, you know, start with what you know and what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows, you know, something they're passionate about. And I would say the association has ways to plug you in. And
all you do is raise your hand.
Absolutely, yeah. And whether it's education or advocacy, you know, or communications. I mean, there's just a multitude of things that we can, I mean, really affect change. And you have a circle of influence that is powerful.
Yeah. And also a circle that you can at the same time network with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people don't understand that, yes, you're volunteering, but, you know, because I too was invited, you know, to come to the dance, but it, you know, I had to go out there and put myself out there to say that I wanted to volunteer for, it was a subcommittee. It wasn't a real committee, but it was the technology committee.
We let you onto a subcommittee, Kimberly. Who did that? I need names.
I will give them to you offline. You know, when I was like, well, what does this mean? And, you know, how do you, and he's like, well, you know, you got to speak up. You got to raise your hand. You just like, I mean, he didn't say it in those words, but it was just inviting me to the party. So that I could then stand up and say, yeah, I'll volunteer for that subcommittee that's now a committee.
Hey. You made it real,
Kimberly. I know. No, not me, but a lot of other people.
You played a part.
I did. I played a little bitty baby part, but it was fun.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. And I think that you have to focus on that and be, you know, it's kind of a mix of you know, being intentional and then kind of letting it ride.
Yeah, letting it ride.
Right, and see, just experience it, because you can't go in with preconceived notions, especially if you're newer to the association. That'll shut you down a lot, because you're gonna maybe turn away from something that could be really beneficial for you because of a preconceived notion. So it's kind of a good mix of, I'm gonna be intentional because I want to be involved, but I'm not gonna let, you know, my preconceived notion dictate how I'm gonna be involved.
Don't be attached to anything. Roll with it. Be okay with the unfamiliar, and ask questions, or even get a buddy. Like I always tell people, you know, Angie Pusateri was definitely one of my, you know, first buddies, and, you know, several others in our industry, you know, Leah and Jay, like just get a group of individuals that can then, you know, because you just expand your network, you know, not everybody knows everything,
for sure,
you know, and so you can ask different people questions, and, you know, friendly people like you who are like, sure, Kimberly, come on over and talk.
Well, and you know what's interesting is that I am rarely the smartest person in the room, but I am constantly scanning that room, and I will find who the smartest person in the room is. And
you are a very smart individual. Let's just, come on now.
Don't tell us secrets. but I think when you're sitting back and you're looking at all of the great minds that we have in our industry, and like you said, everyone has a strength. Sure, I have one, you have one. We may have more than one.
Yeah.
But being able to leverage those strengths
together,
I think, is what is important.
Yeah.
So that you as an association,
team effort.
Absolutely, as an association, I know now through networking. You mentioned networking, that if I need to find out information on X, Y, or Z, over the years I've met experts in X, Y, or Z.
Absolutely.
And you guys are there for me. You know, whether it's a text or an email or a smoke signal, whatever it is. Because sometimes it's all three.
Because cell phones technology doesn't always work in my favor.
But I think that's that's the network. That's what is important and what sometimes people don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, when they're looking at the association.
Well, because they can't put a physical ROI to it. And that's unfortunate that that's what it's measured on. But at the same time, for those smaller companies that you might not have the big budget, the only way is to volunteer. Like that is how you can eventually put an ROI on it, but you know.
Well, going back to the ROI comment, just because it's kind of fresh in our mind from our conversation earlier this morning, but if I am more efficient as an operator because I can get an answer faster, or I can get a great competitive market price on something because of my network, then I think that's an ROI. It just might be passive. It's just not right there in your face.
There you go. That's a good word, passive ROI.
Yeah, and so I think that over time it definitely builds in efficiencies. And because, gosh, I mean, personnel is always the most expensive line item on our P&L.
Yep.
So it's
people.
where we save our time.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand sometimes when people think it's not such an active ROI. It's not a number. You can say it's this.
Yeah.
But I definitely would say this has made me more of an efficient operator, which has to impact the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that said,
yes.
What is it that you love the most about multifamily?
Kind of a loaded question. I want to be here all year.
Yeah, well, like we're trying to get this down to 30 minutes. We might have a couple of episodes.
Let's see, episode 1. Here's what Nicole loves about the industry. You know, I think that I love the fact that it constantly challenges me. I think that I really love the connection with people. I'm super passionate, you know, emotional intelligence. I love that we're talking about that now and the connections that we make and being able to leverage people's strengths. This is a fast-paced industry. Yeah. And I think we see a lot of kind of boomerangers that try to leave to go to do other things. And again, I understand it's not for everybody either. Yeah. But they come back, and a lot of times it's because of that pace. Yeah. Because you get used to being constantly challenged, problem solving, and our customers, you know, thousands of them live with us. Yeah. So we get to see them.
Not literally, but figuratively, folks.
Yes, back to that passive comment. My home, I have 1,000 people living there. Yeah. Very wonderful. Yes. My husband loves it. Yes. But I think that, you know, we have thousands of residents that live with us just at one community. And so we get to see them on their best day. Sometimes we see them on their worst day, but it's life. Yeah. And so we get a chance to really create, someone's home and their experience, and I think that's powerful. Yeah. There's not a lot of industries that can say that. Yeah. You know, our customers live with us. Now, I know hospitality is maybe similar, but they live for a couple of days, and then they're like, bye, peace out. So I do love that, but again, this is the industry that gave me my livelihood, so I can't say enough great things about it. But I'll probably say the pace that you move, that you grow and develop, and I would say the connections with people, whether it be my associates I support, or the residents that live with me, or the partnerships that I've created, the friendships I can't even tell you that I've made. It's blended into my life very seamlessly. Yeah. And it's truly a career and a passion. So I feel like even though technically it's work, if you will, it's sustainable. No, it's totally sustainable.
Yeah, and it's sustainable. That's a good.
I think it's built me into the person I am personally, professionally.
Yeah, and to this point that you said sustainable, you were with Archstone for 15 years, and then when they sold, you had an abundance of network and people coming to you to offer you whatever the next thing is. So I feel like if you, for some reason, something happens, you need to move across the United States, you need to cross the state, or your company gets bought out and you need another job.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, might have happened to me. There is a plethora of, if you are doing the right thing, you are that hard worker, you have that network, people will just come, they come to you. The opportunities still come to you. Just because one opportunity stops doesn't mean that the other door doesn't open. So.
And well, think about the Room to Grow campaign is just that, and we've talked about again. Yes, you have room to grow as far as a career, but I would also going back to what you just mentioned. So when my company was purchased in 2013, and I'd been there for 15 years, it was a life-altering event.
Oh yeah,
and in many ways for a lot of fantastic professionals. But I would say that I am fortunate enough to have been involved with the association for several years at that time, to where my network, really reached across, company lines, if you will, and said, you know what, please come work with me, please come work with me. And I was able to choose from several fantastic companies for my next move. Yeah. And that was so humbling. I never really realized the strength of the network for me until I needed it personally. Yeah. I definitely saw the benefit if I wanted to say, hey, I need a new paint vendor, or I need to...
Supplier partner.
Oh, yes, I apologize. Or I need a new painter, or I need, to understand, hey,
It's not all. It's not just.
We just bought some properties in Oklahoma. Who else manages in Oklahoma? It's my first time to do so, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Those were more, again, passive. This was right in my face. This was changing my life, and I was, having to leave a company that I loved for 15 years. So I think that was the strength of the network and the relationships as well.
Yeah.
In just helping me to find my next step.
Yeah. Once you get in, you rarely get out, for sure. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody that would like to start a career in multifamily?
I would probably say if you want to start a career in multifamily, is that just, again, find what you're passionate about, find what you are excited about and what you're motivated by, and I think that you'll be able to find a way to plug into multifamily. So, for instance, if you are...
Whether it's on the operation or the supplier side.
Correct, yeah. So if you are passionate about sales, you might become a supplier partner that sells for a specific product. If you're passionate about sales and want to work on the residential side.
Yeah,
so we see a lot of that kind of
operations
back and forth.
Or third party. Yeah.
So you do third party. I see several
Leasing.
Focusing on like the trades. People that are wanting to go to school and be electricians or working on HVAC or something of that nature. And we have a whole service department.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been a shift in kind of rebranding that as a career.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, they are the front lines of defense. But being a renter, it is the front line of defense. Your maintenance supervisors, to your housekeepers, to your lawn guys, to your, whoever comes and changes the elbow.
You're doing it right. You're doing it right.
Who changes the light bulbs, that they're done properly and that it's done in a
professional manner.
Correct,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that they care that if it's not, I've lived to several different places, and it is ones that stand out the most is that when they follow back up with me and they check to make sure that everything was done properly, that really stands out to me. Like, they really care that I'm here. They really care if I'm going to renew, And so, because people take pride in that, like, that is, where you work, and you want others to be proud and excited about coming home to a place.
Hands down, we are a service industry.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that if you have a servant's heart, if you
That's a good point.
If you want to help people, I know that kind of sounds like a Hallmark card,
but it's the truth.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to help people, then multifamily definitely is, for you.
100%.
And so I think with that service mentality, it just takes everything with again, you kind of seen it through a different lens.
Yeah.
So if you want to join and be, again, help people, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
Whether as a supplier, you're going to help me with a product or service, or if it's as a manager, you're going to help your team, to be successful and help your residents to, ensure that their home is taken care of. So I think that's something that's really important. And then the second piece of that is that as much of a servant's heart as we want everyone to have, we also want you to, as far as advice goes, I wish someone would have told me, like, don't take it too personally either. So it's kind of a balance that you're looking at. Yes, that servant's heart, and when you put your heart into something,
it
you
hurts.
know how it goes, right? I mean, when you put your heart into something,
when somebody doesn't like what you're doing.
And I'm like, wait a minute, love me. No, but I think that you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there, and you're really, your reputation, your character, what you stand for, all of those things are rolled up into that servant's heart,
absolutely.
which makes it strong.
Yes, absolally.
But then also realize that when something goes wrong, we just need to fix it and don't take it personally. They're not saying, you
shut off the water.
You absolutely shut off the water, Kimberly Scott. Instead of, people tend to deflect when they take it personally.
Yeah,
and until you learn, that was one thing I wish I would have learned sooner, or maybe gotten that piece of advice sooner. Is that they just want their challenge handled.
Yeah.
Whereas
and have some empathy for that.
Yeah, I cared so much that I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Or I would get upset, or I would think, oh my gosh, because they're mad at me.
Yeah, and they're not.
They're mad because their water got shut off.
And they're in the shower with soap on their bodies.
Kimberly Scott, this sounds like a personal story we've shared before.
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea. But I think that's another piece of advice I would say is, as much as this is a servants industry, when you're problem solving and when you are handling customer challenges, issues, concerns, whatever you want to call them, opportunities.
Yes.
Not to take it personally. Step back.
And take a deep breath.
Assess and address. Handle it.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
Once I learned to do that, a lot of weight kind of came off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because I was able to just handle their issue.
Yeah.
And again, made me more efficient.
And not take it personally. Absolutely. It's 100%.
Yeah.
So I, am both in the multifamily space, and I live at apartment communities within the Texas area.
We have had discussions about
Yes.
this. It's
So I do see it. I do see it from both sides. That is something that I struggle because my friends are those that, you know, own, operate, and are in the multifamily space, and then I'm the renter that has to be patient, has to be understanding that not every situation is the same, and try never to be upset with that person on the other end, period. Even in the restaurant business, or, you know, whether I'm going to a retail shop or whatever, that if they care, they're going to take it personally. So I need to step back as a renter and not be so.
But I would also say, as a double agent, what I prefer to call you.
Yes, double agent. I like that. I'm writing that down.
Yes,
this double agent.
That Kimberly is a double agent. But I think, you know, in our conversations that we've had, that'll be for another podcast.
Yes.
But when you see someone is empathetic, though, when you and I have had conversations, when you see that they're empathetic, you are 100% understanding, and all of a sudden you're like, I know Nicole's got it, or whoever has got it, and I'll follow up. They're going to get back with me. It's when they're not.
Correct.
And when you are so entrenched in this industry, and you know that if they're treating you that way, they're treating everyone that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how many opportunities are they missing?
Yeah.
I think that's where it really gets raw.
Yeah.
You know,
and we'll have another podcast, another subject coming soon.
Teaser.
Well, I'm going to follow up this last question. What is the best advice that somebody has ever given you, whether they're in the multifamily industry or not? You don't have to name them, but you could just, you know, what's the best advice ever given to you in your career, or maybe top 1, 2?
So I would probably say, and it's actually a quote that, you know, that was reinforced to me, but it's that what makes you unique makes you special, or what makes you weird makes you special.
Yes.
I've heard it both ways. Meryl Streep.
I love it.
And I think that embracing that, I think that there was a time, you know, when I was, and we all go through this personally, professionally, as we get older and have perspective, right? Perspective is great, and I love perspective. But sometimes you question, you know, where you fit in. And sometimes you question what your contribution is.
Yeah.
And when you have a servant's heart, sometimes that it pulls in multiple directions. And so that could cause some conflict, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there were too many times in my professional life, maybe early on, that I was trying to fit into somebody else's box.
Oh.
And we all go through that.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
not something that is
sometimes we go through it later in life, or like in different stages.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
But I would say that there were a circle that I had that I really trusted their opinion. I trusted their input. And for them to tell me, you know, I would say, hey, I'm being asked to do this, and I feel like I naturally would do this, and neither one is wrong per se, right? We're not talking about ethical things. We're talking about personal, you know, kind of spin. And, you know, I had someone sit me down and say, look, like, you are unique and you are special, and don't try to fit in someone else's box. You know, again, sometimes you have to. It's not a conversation or a piece of advice for every situation.
Yes,
right?
absolutely not.
Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow.
Yeah.
But I think what I took from that is I was not embracing who I was. Yeah. And I wasn't embracing the unique skill set that I bring.
Absolutely.
And I was trying to make myself into someone I wasn't. So then you become inauthentic. And that has a whole negative ripple effect that you don't realize. And so I wasn't as effective. I wasn't as happy. And I wasn't as intentional.
Because you weren't you.
Correct.
You weren't being you.
And then it was just one of those like resurgences where I was like, hello, here I am, you know. And so
it's a brand new day.
Exactly. All the birds were chirping. You know, but I think that, you know, again, what makes me weird makes me special. I think that
anybody, absolutely.
So I think that advice goes to everybody else.
That quote.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that resonates with me. So sometimes being different is what will maybe be the difference.
Yes.
You know, so
100%.
You know, it's not for everybody. It's not for all the times. And I think that was really impactful when I needed to hear it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me and with us today. How can listeners get a hold of you if they want to connect with you?
Well, I would say that they can look at talkwithblock.com.
Oh, look at you!
I know.
I like it.
Hey, girl. High five. So talkwithblock.com is something that I am working on, and we're talking through some podcasting opportunities with that Kimberly, so that we can just talk about the emotional intelligence piece of our industry, and we can talk about the empathy and talk about the coaching and development that I think many of us need to hear.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Again, not the only game in town, but I feel like we can leverage the players and maybe just start a conversation that we've been needing to have for a long time.
Yeah. Well, cool. And you're also on the Insta, the Facebook, as my boyfriend says, and the LinkedIn.
I am. I'm on Instagram as Nicolle BGB. My name has 2 L's in it. So
BGB.
thanks, Mom, for making me unique. But yeah, Nicolle, B as in boy, G as in girl, B as in boy.
Just in case you missed it.
I know, so come find me. Love to have that conversation. Talk with Block.
Well, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sitting down with us. And if Nicole's thoughts, advice, or any of our discussion,
Or jokes.
We're
hilarious.
At least to us.
I mean, yeah.
If you found value in any of this,
Exactly.
please let us know. Leave it in the comments and/or share this or tag a friend.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And until next week, remember there is room to grow.
Absolutely.
100%. And stay tuned for more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.